everywhere. We weren't playing it live into Twitter and LinkedIn, and we get a lot of people watching it on LinkedIn. So I'm always excited to play it live there. There we go. Live on Facebook and YouTube now. Let's talk. What the hell did we title this, Mark?
We titled it the best title ever. Title goes here.
Title goes
insert title here.
Insert title here. Good job on creating the
best. But in all seriousness, because we're early and we have time to kill. But we call it 10 reasons why. 10 reasons why agents stay below $150,000 in GCI.
Ooh, as an individual agent.
Money.
I like that. Okay, I'm digging that. And let's just jump right into this one. Number one is lack of commitment. That's number one. I'll take that one on first because
let's just go through it. Like you, me, Jacob, you, me, Jacob.
I don't think we're going to get through all of them, but let's start with lack of commitment first. I want to take first shot at this. I think with the way you titled it was lack of commitment, getting stuck in a part-time mindset. I love that because even though, Mark, I'll use you as an example, you started in real estate with the team as a part-time agent, but you never really had that mindset of being a part-time agent. So you were always working like with a full-time mindset. I like that. Which is great because here's the reasoning for that. This is why I think it's important with lack of commitment. That energy that you're giving out is being transferred over to whoever you're working with. So they're going to feel like, well, you know what? Does this person really have the commitment to work with me like I want to? Right? Mm-hmm. If you're not going to show up for your client the way they need you to show up, like when somebody calls up Jacob and wants them to bring in the Amazon boxes, right? No joke. Are you going to be able to do that at that level when you're helping out multi-million-dollar people or at any level? So that's why I think that is transferable in that mindset. That's why I love that. Mark, what do you think?
Absolutely. I think too, there's nothing wrong with being a part-time agent. I know for a fact there are people in this webinar today, right now, who are thinking, well, I'm a part-time agent and that's what I want to be. That's amazing. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. And you may even be a part-time agent and you may slap over $150,000 in GCI. However, for those who are stuck below it, who want to level up and want to be full-time, this applies definitely to you, where you need to make that shift, whether it be in scheduling, planning, how much you're putting in the time that is into your prospecting. That is what we're talking about as far as getting stuck in the part-time mindset.
Okay, I like that. What about you? What about you, Jake?
I know, like when I started, Mark coached me pretty heavily on being, regardless of what was going on, mentally, you're a full-time agent. And I've always been one of those people that's always said, you are what you strive to become. So anytime I met somebody, whether I was new in real estate or when I was doing photography, it was when somebody asked, oh, what do you do? I'm a realtor. Not like I'm a new realtor or I do real estate on the side. It was, I'm a realtor, and I think that was a big initial jump into just switching your mental shift and your conversational shift into being full-time.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Now let's talk really quick about how to fix this lack of commitment, because we can talk about it and the reality of it, but if we're functioning as a part-time agent mentally, even if we're full-time, because I see some of you full-time agents functioning like an under part-time real estate agent, I think you need to have clear goals. What does that look like? Start with, the more specific you get, the more clear these goals are that revolve around your strengths, the chances are higher you're going to be more energized as to actually working it, right? So you'll be motivated to do that. And right. Mark, you've talked about this, but finding your why. Like, stay committed to your goals and what really is important to you. Why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. This needs to be like right in front of you. Why the hell did you choose real estate to go with all the ups and downs and to work with so many crazy ass people? Why did you choose this? Why? Because it gets tough. Like right now, some people are going into their savings like 4 or 5 months in with 0 transactions closed so far. Like, why is this important to you? Right. And then get to a plan, because a lot of us with the commitment, we lack a plan. So we don't know what exactly it is that we need to do next. Like, well, where do we start? And then who's going to hold you accountable? You see what Jake said at the beginning, where it's like, when I started, I talked to Mark, and Mark was like, yeah, that's accountability right there. Who is holding you accountable? Who? Because if it's just you, that's probably one of the biggest reasons you're failing out of this business. It can't just be you. Like, you better believe my wife kicked my ass every day, right? Like, you're not going to pick up that your phone's ringing. Your phone's ringing. Like, ah, shit, I'll pick it up. So yeah, I have like the biggest accountability partner. Plus Jake and Mark, they're like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? What are you up to? So just having a solid group of people to support yourselves with, that's important. And then if you don't have that, find a group of people that can do that for you, because it is important.
Yes. And also sign up for coaching here. And this is when I'll sign up for the coaching.
We're doing coaching. I totally forgot. Mark, Jake, by the way, we coach.
There it is. Do that. Boom. So, all right, good deal.
All right. Number 2, Mark. You take number 2.
Okay. So number 2.
What is
number 2 is number 2 for the reasons why agents stay below $150,000 GCI is fear. And that is broken down into 5 quick subcategories: fear of rejection, fear of looking and sounding new, fear of procrastination and letting that sink in. And then that becomes fear because it's been so long, you procrastinated for so long, fear of uncomfortability, and fear of the execution mode instead of being stuck in the education mode. So I'll break those down real quick. Fear of rejection is pretty simple. It's just this fear of getting yelled at on the phone, fear of getting told no at the open house, fear of just being told no. That's pretty simple as that. I mean, I know a lot of us are all wired to have the natural fear of rejection, but once you overcome this fear and accept it for it being part of the process, it will pay dividends for you. And one way in my mind is that I've shifted is every no that I get, I count that as one step closer to a yes. So that changes the wiring of my brain to be like, oh, someone said no. All right, sweet. I'm about to be that much closer to a yes. What do you guys think about that, Jacob?
No, that's what you preached since day one. And it's true. It's true. Every time somebody says no, you should take it as a happy thing because you're one step closer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then looking and sounding new. I struggled with this when I first started. I was worried that, me at 21, 22 years old, I was worried that people were going to look at me and be like, this guy, how does he know about houses? Right. And that definitely did hurt me in the beginning of my business. But people like Jacob, like he said, they're just like, I'm in real estate. And jumping into that mindset is like so crucial. And if you're in the mindset that I was in when I first started, or if you're in that mindset now, I challenge you to look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that you are an experienced agent. You are a good agent. You can do this. You can go out and you can get clients. You can sell. You are successful, right? If you tell yourself that, you will start to emit that in front of your clients, and then you won't look new or sound new, right?
Part of that.
How about you, Tristan? Yeah.
Well, part of that can be an understatement, I think. Because we tend to make fun of people that are like, well, they're doing the affirmations. It's like I'm a money magnet, right? Which sounds ridiculous, by the way. But I attract whatever it is. I attract all the business. I think along those lines, though, there needs to be a change of the way that you do talk yourself, the way you talk to yourself. Because a lot of us do the opposite, which is, yeah, that's ridiculous. But isn't it ridiculous when you talk to yourself like, yeah, that was stupid. Oh man, why do I keep on doing that? It's so stupid. It's like, that's the exact same thing you're doing on the opposite end of this. And if you want to be more proactive along the lines of fear, if you want to tackle this on, it's like, well, what does it look like on this side to be able to actually, like somebody says, fear of taxes is real, but how do you take control over it? What are the action steps that I'm going to take to actually start fearing this less? Because the clearer it is, the more you actually feel like you have control over it. So what are you scared of? Are you scared of not making a certain amount of money? Are you scared of door knocking? Are you scared of picking up the phone? Are you scared of going on social media? If so, why don't you write that down so that you can start tackling it step by step, very small steps at a time.
Yes.
And we don't do that. We don't do that enough, right?
I completely
It's
agree.
it's kind of like you said last week, with your expectations. If you section them down into, here's my long-term goal, I step it down into my 1 month goal, my 1 week goal, my 1 day goal. It's the same with limiting beliefs. You have your big picture belief or limit, and if you break that down as to your why you're thinking that way, you get to your day goal, as far as your limit belief goes, and it really comes back to your mindset.
Yeah.
I like that, guys. And I'm gonna bring in a really quick study, and then we'll go to number 3. There's a study it's an ongoing study. And I brought it up. I don't know if I brought it up last week. Did I? The the Harvard University study. It's an 85-year-old study that's still going on the study of happiness and why most people are happy in its relationships. I'm bringing it up because a lot of the reasons that fear creeps up is because we don't have a strong support system. Like I don't have anybody to bounce anything off of if I'm questioning something. And the quality of those people around you, like literally quality of those people, are they there when you need them, when you have a question that's important to you? Can you rely on a group of people, or at least one person, to be able to answer that question where you feel support, right? And a lot of the times we don't even have that one person. And if you read that study, go ahead and read it. It's an ongoing study. It's not going to end as long as Harvard's around. That is a really powerful study, and it's beautiful. So take some time to read that one. And thanks, Azucena. That's really good. So let's go right into number 3. Who wants to take this one on? Jacob, doubting yourself. Here we go.
So doubting yourself, we have, the lack of trusting your own self. Oftentimes, I think we get into that realm of, if you don't know the answer to something, you start questioning your own ability to do it. And I know when I first started out, my biggest rejection I'd get from people was, "You're younger than my grandkids." I'd go on listing appointments and they'd be like, "Oh, my grandson's 5 years older than you." And so then I personally would get into the hole of like, well, all my credibility's out the door. They obviously see me as a child. And I started to not trust my abilities to be a luxury agent or an agent, even at that point, so I was keyholing myself mentally really heavily, in the sense of like, I was already putting myself behind the 8 ball when I would go in there. And I knew they were going to say I was young, or I knew they were saying something negative, but it was me saying it about myself, not them. I was giving them the opportunity to say stuff like that. So I was not trusting my own ability and my skills to speak for themselves. I was letting my appearance. So I think when agents come in and, keyhole themselves mentally, you have to kind of, like we've been saying, you got to take a step back and really start digging into the mindset to help yourself grow instead of hold yourself down. Another point we have is not understanding the entrepreneurial mindset or believing in yourself first, and how can a client believe in you with that mindset. So I think it all kind of relates to the same thing, is if you start with a lack of confidence in the beginning, you're already at the point where, if you're not believing in yourself, you're going to portray that to other people as well. And if you give off that type of energy, you're going to lose.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like if you, exactly. How can you have
Tristan,
someone believe in you if you can't believe in your own self, right? It's like if I was to go into like, I don't know, let's say for example, like the tax world, like, I'm not an expert on taxes. I'm not a CPA. And if I went to a CPA and they were like really, just doubting themselves and didn't really know what they what they were doing, they didn't believe in themselves, I would feel very uncomfortable trusting that person with my finances.
Totally.
You know, and imagine real estate agent. I mean, that's a big one. That's a big investment.
Right.
Dude,
And I can kind of,
that's
I was
no,
just
I'm
gonna
saying
say,
that's
Oh.
go. Keep on going. Keep on going.
You're getting it lags. I was just gonna say it kind of relates to a topic that like, or a point that we were gonna make, I think in a little bit, which is doing it all solo. It was one of those things, and Tristan said it earlier, surrounding yourself with the people that are going to bring you up, the accountability partners, but also relying on those people to help you. You know, there was, to me, starting out as a new agent, I was a solo agent. There was nothing harder than understanding the fact that like, I have no stats, I'm new, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I have to put this persona on to do it. And I have nobody behind me for it. Until I met people like Tristan and Mark that, you know, even before I was on the team with you guys, were willing to at least have a conversation and help me through situations. You know, I was so limited in my own personal belief and self-doubt and everything like that, that I didn't realize there were people that you could lean on in that situation, you know, to help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think one thing too, for everyone listening, is find that person. If you have that person, lean into that person. But one thing that I think we overlook sometimes with this subject is make yourself available to be that person as well to someone else. Pay it forward. You know, I know every single one of us here, Tristan, myself, and Jacob, we all have that person that we can lean on, or that we, you know, help us with accountability. But I can also say that we are that person for at least one other person in our lives in this business. So make sure that you pay it forward.
Totally.
Yeah, that's true, guys. Here's let's touch on a piece of this on the self-doubt portion. And that's the anxiety that it creates. I know we touched on this, 3 calls ago or so, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole piece, the self-doubt, is what cripples the real estate agent the most at any level, right? Big team, small team, no team, individual, I don't care what it is. This is what cripples people in our business the most. Because if you let this grow, what happens is the anxiety then turns into depression. And that depression will tell you everything is going wrong and you can't do it in this business. And that becomes reality. It's a challenge. And this right here is where it starts. And the imposter syndrome, like Vanessa's saying, Vanessa, we all go through that at some part of our lives. And even in some cases, we still do in everything that we're doing, whether it's us breaking a new price point in real estate, us working with something slightly different in real estate that we're not used to, us transitioning out of real estate and doing something else. Look, at any point in our life, we're going to come across an opportunity to either try something new or stay where we're at. And the more you take on that opportunity, the more you're going to train yourself to say, got it. It's okay to screw up. Give yourself the capacity to screw up. Give yourself grace to be able to say, got it. I'm going to screw the hell out of this, but I'm going to learn something from it. And I think that part in itself is really hard to get to because we naturally fear failing at things. Because people will make fun of us, like, oh, he tried that, she tried that, and it didn't work. See, I knew they were I knew they sucked. I knew they weren't good enough, right? Because that's how we treat ourselves in our head. We're only projecting that out, but in reality, what happens is you've seen it over and over in our world, even though you also see the opposite. But you see the story of the people that just struggled and made it through, and how much they're celebrated, right? Mm-hmm. Because people always love that part of the story as well. Mm-hmm. So look,
check this out. We have something rather interesting here. In the Q&A, I'm gonna read this, a couple sentences. For me, my fears have become crippling to my business and physical and mental well-being. For me, it has primarily become fear of conflict. I have had multiple super tough transactions due to the clients or other agents being just plain mean the past 6 months, And I feel like I am now repelling business because I'm perceiving business as harm. Not sure how to get past this current mindset. I love that you have typed this in here. I think, honestly, I think we should all spearhead this together and talk about this for a moment. And if you're open to it, we could even do a part 2 on the 10 reasons, because this is good.
I have a feeling we're going to spend the rest of the 5 minutes just on this one.
That's what I'm saying.
So
we'll do a part.
Totally.
We'll do a part 2 next time. Let's do it. You down for that? Let's do it.
Laura, I'm going to take this one on really quick because this is what happened to me. It was 2006, 2005. I was a year and a half into this business, and I had the ability to go and present my first listing presentation of multi-million dollars. It was 5 million at the time, about 5. And I bombed it completely. And you've heard the story before. I completely bombed this damn thing. I got it from door knocking, by the way. And I felt at that point that luxury real estate wasn't for me because of that one thing. And I pushed away from all luxury opportunities. And so it wasn't until 2015, 10 years later, that I finally had the opportunity to represent another multi-million dollar home. And we closed it, but that just fell on my lap by accident. If it wasn't for that, I would have never broken out of that mindset, Laura. I don't want that to happen to you or to anybody else, because the fear does cripple you. The fear holds you back from everything you want to happen in this business, like all of the beautiful parts of this business. And I've been through that. And I wish that I wouldn't have spent 10 years not doing that. And we find that in all parts of our business. Jacob, I know you struggle with this too, just like I did. How are you coping with this progression?
I was just going to say, so for some of the people that don't know, because I know I jumped on the panel here a bit later into our series, I'm kind of known for having crazy clients. It's just a thing. I don't know why. But I can kind of speak similar to like Tristan. My second deal was extremely mentally taxing. It was a pretty high price transaction. It was like 4.7 million. And I would go home every day pretty much in a panic attack or almost tears with what was going on. I felt like I was being harassed. Nobody was listening to me. My client wouldn't listen to me. And it was a 3-week transaction that was hell. But I remember sitting down with Mark and Tristan at the end of it and saying similar things like this. Like I find myself feeling like I'm worried for the next transaction and I don't know how I can do it. And I remember Mark said something really valuable, and he was like, well, let's take a look at the transaction. Did we get through the transaction? And I was like, yeah, we closed it. Did you get sued? No, I didn't get sued. Did you know what I mean?
That's a good one.
Did anything happen that was physically harmful? Like, there was no altercations at the transaction, nothing like that. And he was like, if you take a step back and think about it, it was a taxing transaction, but at the same time, how much did you learn? And I learned so many things in that transaction of, if you do have a client that is similar to this, that may be giving you a hard time or treating you disrespectfully, now I just learned how to go through this transaction and how not to deal with them. I watched the other agent deal with them in a way that I would never handle myself. So now I knew I'm never going to do that. I'm going to treat my clients this way and do the exact opposite, but I witnessed it firsthand. And I would have never have had that unless I went through the really hard transaction. And, I can say that it is challenging to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But I think if you take a step back and look at, yes, it might have been very challenging. Your past 6 months might be something that you feel mentally scarred from. But I can assure you, if you look at it from a third party perspective and remove yourself from the situation, you learned so much on how to deal with the transaction, but deal with the client in a manner that will keep not only yourself calm and sane, but keep your client happy and trusting the fact that you know exactly what you're doing and guiding them through the process. That's what helped me, at least.
Dude, I think the assumption, Jacob, is that real estate should be easy. And in dealing with people, in any business and dealing with people, it's going to be hard. And the challenge is that we're not used to being thrown into a situation where we're handling the most expensive part of anybody's life, the house, right? The massive down payment in most cases. And for all of these emotions to be going back and forth, I don't think that we are ever prepared to be thrown into this and manage so many different personalities. And I think the experience that we have in being thrown into this routinely can only help us grow. And we don't talk about this. It's like, this is normal. And the more you put yourself into this, the better you're going to be faster. But
can I kind of jump on?
Yeah, it tolls you, man. It does toll you.
It does. And I was going to piggyback off of it because I just had this conversation, Laura, really similar to your situation with Tristan the other day. I have a client currently that I'm working with that calls me on a daily basis crying. And it is really taxing emotionally, because of the reasons that she is calling. It has nothing to do with our transaction or anything like that, but every day I'm on the phone for about an hour and a half. And, it's like Tristan said, there's times that you can't prepare for what clients are going through and how much emotion it gets brought up during a transaction. But we wear the hat of therapist. We wear the hat of, for Mark and I being a bit younger, the son. We wear the hat of financial guider, and you know what I mean? All this stuff. They rely on us for a lot of different things. And you have to mentally be prepared to either guide or pass off and delegate during that time. Because if you just assume all of it yourself, it's a lot and it will drag you down.
Yeah, very true. All right, Mark, what do you have to add to this in closing?
In closing, I would say for me, these are all great things, by the way. I'd say for me personally, I go back to why I got into this business to begin with. And I go back to realizing that every single negative encounter is an opportunity for massive growth. And also, it's an opportunity for us to show the world how people should be treated. So if I'm in a transaction and someone's really mean to me or a client's really mean to me, and I respond back with fire, or I walk away and just let them beat me down, then what have I gained? I haven't gained any knowledge on how not to treat people. I haven't gained any knowledge. I haven't given any knowledge on, hey, let's collaborate together here. Let's not go to this place of hostility, because I do see it a lot. I do see this a lot where agents are mean to each other. And I said, we're working for the same thing. And I'm a strong believer that there is an opportunity, and it's happening for a reason. And if you just level up just a tiny bit more and be the bigger person, it's a great opportunity to really disrupt this world of negativity.
All right. And in closing then, tell me, what would you suggest as far as being able to transition out of this? Because we're all going through it at different times when we have difficult conversations. How do we transition out of this so that when we're now talking to our girlfriend, boyfriend, spouses, other clients, we don't carry that with us emotionally? How do we transition out of that?
Right.
How do
this
you
is actually something that I still struggle with. Like if I hang up from a call and then someone, around me says like, hey, Mark, I'm like, what? Because I'm still in that mindset. And you can see it on my face. You're like, oh, whoa, wait, hold on.
It's funny.
I think one thing that I love to do is I love to pause and just do it with me, guys. You guys do it with me. I love to breathe in and close my eyes and I'm breathing in the feelings of positivity and reset, and like literally imagining it's going through my nostrils into my lungs, and I'm exhaling the negativity and exhaling what just happened, and it's a reset. It works for me like really well. I breathe in what I want and I exhale what I don't.
Breathing is extremely important, man. Look, if it works for the Marines at a high level and the Rangers and all of our military and martial artists, right, on a physical level, because this is physically tolling, and we don't talk about that aspect, right? But if we can take a moment to breathe and breathe in and then breathe out, I think that's where it really starts. I love that, because now you're taking that out. That's part one. I think there's a lot more.
We're doing part two.
I think we're probably going to do a part 3 to this as well, because there's a lot of people that are commenting, and I think
we may as well take it slow for sure.
You know what? We don't ever talk. We talk about door knocking. We talk about online leads. We talk about newsletters, blogging, prospecting, but we don't talk about the real shit that's damaging us, so that we can actually grow out of this. Right?
Yes.
This right here is where we should start all conversations as real estate agents.
You know what? Right here too, as well, for those of you who want to dive deeper on a deeper level, on a personal level, on like a one-on-one or small group level on this, there's a link. Check it out. We do coaching. That's it.
Mark, Jacob, I think you guys should start a podcast on this. We were trying to figure out what. I think this might be it, guys.
I love it. Let's do it.
That might be it right there. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Mark.
Therapy.
I feel like I had a therapy session with you guys.
I feel much better.
It's nuts. It's crazy.
Oh man.
Oh man. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Later,
everybody.